This is Scratch Your Own Itch, the one show that delivers the conversations that we're afraid to share, but need to. This show is all about creating a life worth living. I'm Logan Tyler Nelson, and I'm your host. So, you're going to hear conversations with creators and entrepreneurs talk about what they do, their current and past traumas, how they became who they are, and what they are truly curious about. This is the show where we talk about the things we think about a lot, but need to talk about more. Please take note that this show is not a substitute for actually creating a life worth living, because this show will stir your beliefs, make you question what it means to create a life worth living. So my promise to you is to always give you one question to answer for yourself today to start turning your dreams into a reality. Hello. Check. Hey, ladies and gents, thank you so much for tuning in for the episode of Scratch Your Own Itch. And I really appreciate it because I know for a fact you can be listening to so many other shows and you can be watching so many other things and just be doing so much more than tuning in to hear. And I appreciate it. And I want to know, first off, I want you to know at least that you tuned in for a reason. So any sort of thing that happens to you during this interview, take note of it. Really think mindfully. You know, if today's been just like go, please take a second to just really breathe in this moment. And I know it sounds woo, but I mean the breath is everything. So just give me 1 second to just do this real quick. Just breathe in and make an exhale and breathe out. And now you're ready to take in this awesome information because I have a really incredible guest on today. His name is Gerald Maragos. And Gerald you got to see this guy. I mean, incredible physique. But on top of that, he's not just brawn. He does have some brains too. And so him and I actually met at this event, and I met him in person, and it was funny because we talked a little bit about his supplement company first, because he has a supplement company, Magnum Supplements, and it's the all-grade pharmaceutical. It's an incredible company. They're one of the very few companies that does all-grade pharmaceutical supplements, such as his. So I want you to definitely listen in really closely to this interview because you're going to get a key insider look on who Gerald really is. And then if you want to know more information after we pick his brain, I'll throw in a link and you can be headed over to his supplements because I know his supplements work. They're amazing. They're 100% organic. He doesn't put in that crud that you don't need, those fillers, the extra maltodextrin on extra maltodextrin, the stuff that really you're paying $19.99 for when the thing really costs only like $2 to make. He gives you the best of the best. So after amping him up so much, I'd love for you to give a warm welcome to the one and only Gerald Maragos.
Well, thanks for having me, Logan. Appreciate it. It's been a long time since we've seen each other, and I appreciate the call.
Yeah, dude. Same here. So I gotta jump right into it because I want to keep these interviews a little bit shorter just because I know with my ADHD brain and some people having so many other things to do during the day, I really want people to actually listen to the entire thing. So I'm gonna just jump into it. And I want to ask you, what's the best story from your life that has sort of a underlining valuable message?
Wow. You know, I don't know if it's a singular story or if it's an entire volume that kind of went all the way back to chapter 1 again, you know, after going through the whole piece. And I guess the coolest story that I could tell would be, after graduating high school and being pretty well lost, not knowing where to go and how to get there. I took some advice and I went into the military. Headed over to Berlin during the Cold War, was an MP and a covert agent over there for a few years, and came back around, started, in law enforcement, and did my whole career. Ended up retiring with the Department of Corrections as a captain, and then went overseas with the Department of Justice and ran the ISATAT mission up there. Became the director of training for 2 countries, and then over to Afghanistan. And years later, there becomes a reunion in school. It was a 30th reunion. And the funniest part was, of course, I wasn't even going to show, but I got talked into it by my daughter. So I came in there, and it was fun. I'm walking in, and I meet this gal that I hadn't seen in 30 years, and we had dated in 1978. I'd changed a little bit. I mean, I graduated at about 130 pounds, and I walked in there 30 years later at about 2.25. And a year later to the day we got married. And she accepted me wholeheartedly for who I was and am, and all of my struggles and trials and tribulations. And it's been an amazing ride for the last 5 years. Totally different train to ride on, but I tell you what, it's been amazing. It's fun. It's fun.
That's awesome, man. I love hearing that story because I think it's so important to have that that person that just accepts you in your life. And like you said, the key insight that I got out of that answer was just more, or of that story rather, that someone accepted you for who you were. So I would love to talk more about acceptance and whatnot, but I want to go into more of a deeper question about your passion. You obviously love to work out. I mean, just by if anyone sees the photos of you, and you love it so much that you created a company out of it. So what do you think is the most valuable piece of information that we should know about your expertise and / industry?
Well, I as you know, I'm a lot like Jason, our mutual friend, where to a fault I'm pretty straightforward. I don't mince words right. So I'll come straight. Is basically I didn't use supplements for about 16 years. Actually, I couldn't find anything of a high enough quality that I wanted to see inside my body. It was all pretty low grade stuff, and there's no regulation on it in this country. I mean, it's pretty humdrum stuff. I mean, good luck finding something of I guess would hit my standard. So anyway, just a friend of mine happened to meet Magnum Nutraceuticals president up at the Olympia one year, and tried one of the products called Opus. I still remember the story. And he took a sample, walked off about 30 seconds later, and felt it. And I heard this whole story, and he shipped me out some of the proteins, telling me, of course, that this whole thing is pharmaceutical grade. Well, I'd heard claims by other companies, growing up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s about how great we are and all this. And so a huge skeptic. But it was amazing. I could not believe the difference in quality. And so anyway, basically what happened was I got back from Afghanistan, and I was actually on my way back to Afghanistan when I met my wife, or wife-to-be, I should say. And she goes, well, I'm not really keen if we're going to pull this off in a long-term relationship that you're going to be going back. So, what if you just stay here? And so anyway, I started Magnum Source, got a hold of this company's president and asked him if I could use part of his name in my company, and I would distribute 100% pharmaceutical grade supplements, which were literally in writing 100% pharmaceutical grade, which there was no subjective talk. It was all in writing. And it was just absolutely amazing. So up to this day, in fact, I'm going to the Arnold as a personal guest of Marcus Callius, who is the president and CEO and owner of Magnum Nutraceuticals. And that's all I will sell on my in my company. I haven't found anything of even matching, the quality that is offered there. And to embellish it, a little bit more, for kids it's great, for everybody it's great, but especially, I got to look after me and my genre and my level of people, old people is what I mean by that. And we don't process all that garbage grade stuff like these 20-year-old did. I mean, back when I was 20, I could eat 3 pizzas a week and I still walked around with a 6-pack. Now I eat 3 pizzas. The only 6-pack I could get would be from the liquor store. That would be the closest thing I'd ever see on what resemble a 6-pack. So having that purity and having that quality is just absolutely unbelievable. Because before, I mean, there was slim pickings trying to find something that was not subjective, but actually had some documentation with it that it was halfway decent. And this stuff blows everything that I've ever tried out of the water. I just love the product, and hence the birth of Magnum Source. So there you go. Too easy, right?
Dude, no, I love it. What's one supplement that you found that you guys carry that has really had a huge impact on your physique? Like, is it protein? Is it creatine? Is it branching amino acids? And maybe it's a supplement that kind of separates you from all the other supplement companies.
Well, we have all of those, and they're all fantastic. And trust me, when I pull a 30-gram scoop of protein in 4 ounces of water, mix it up without a mixing ball, I'll put it in the fridge, and just to show my friends, I'll come back a week later, and it's still not even separated. It's that pure. I mean, this stuff is beautiful. But if I had one product that I think is right for everyone and that I am absolutely a true 100% believer in, is they offer these what they're called primer packs. And it's a basically all pharmaceutical grade vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, omega-3, 6s, and 9s, all in one nice little pack. You buy a box of them for a month, and it is just absolutely amazing when they're not pressed pills, and they're actually a capsule that dissolves very, very quickly. That it's just like, wow. Talk about feeling so better just even after just a couple of days on a good quality product like that. Just blew me away. My clients, when they get on it, they just, okay, Jerry, whatever, I believe you, let me try it. And then after 2-3 days, they're going, holy smokes. We were kind of condescending when we said that before, but they become my biggest advocates. I mean, it's just absolutely such a difference when you're trying to break down, your body's trying to break down this pill that's all binder, and it's just so smashed together that there's no way your body's going to break it down. It's just totally different. Just totally different. I mean, it's the difference between qualities. It just is. Putting out a pill is just easier than putting everything in a powder form. And of course, having the purity levels that we have are unheard of here in the U.S. I mean, it's, thankfully this stuff is all documented, and we undergo all of those testings, and thankfully the only place that I was able to find them were made up in Canada. There you go.
It's awesome, dude. That's awesome. Well, the primer, so check that out. I love it. I just love that it's clean, pure. I'm gonna kind of switch gears though, just because I know people tuning into this podcast scratch your own itch just because they know my story and whatnot, and they know I went through suicide attempt and all of us. I mean, I think to talk about the happy moments, that's easy to get through, but to talk about the hard stuff.
Right.
That's really, I think, what separates a lot of us. Anything that you want to share, you don't have to make it too long, but something like, body image issues that you've had, or I know the fitness industry, man, for a fact, I know the fitness industry, seeing those people and what they put themselves through, they have the worst eating disorders out of anyone. Or maybe you have a hard time keeping yourself just in a routine. What's something that you have struggled with in the past?
Well, many things. I mean, to say I'm above the normal trials and tribulations of most would be uh, definitely not accurate. I mean, I really have a huge background of issues, and the biggest one that really reared its head was when I left Iraq. I spent 3 years there, and I was to say I was a little messed up, man. It was an understatement. I went down south and I lived down there for a few months just to decompress, and it took some time. It took some time when I could go out to a mall or I could go shopping for groceries and not just feel just absolutely out of control. I mean, it was pretty nuts, and I thought I had it really good, and I get home back up into the Dakotas, and my daughter and I are going to a mall, and and I thought things were even better than they obviously were. Some of us, we think things are good, and then we kind of take a half a step back, every once in a while. But for the next thing I knew, my daughter's hand was getting crushed because I didn't realize that I was still feeling all that anxiety. So that was a huge lesson for her. She got to experience it, firsthand what Dad was going through. And but you get the right help, you get the right people around you, and you work through it, and you learn how to I guess the hardest part is getting that help, putting yourself in that vulnerable position where you're accepting what others have to offer you, because and finding those people that
Exactly.
care about you, that's huge.
Exactly.
um, and then being in the industry, yeah, I've seen a lot of negativity, but I've also seen some just absolutely some of the most beautiful, giving, loving people you've ever met in your life, that are in this type of an occupation to be able to promote health and happiness and all the positive stuff that comes with it. And they push forward, and help create that positive aura around them and everything that they do. And I think those are the people that I just love to be around. I mean, they're just so positive, and I've met so many hundreds of just beautiful people inside and out, and my clients, and I don't even know why I call them clients. They're all brothers and sisters, and I mean, you talk to any of them, man. I mean, I have people that have been clients for years, and they're driving by, and next thing they're staying over for a few days. I mean, because we're always closer. I mean, I treat all my people as my people. I don't do this for any other reason other than to help people, and I think most of them realize that. And so I always look forward to the Arnold and the other big expos, because then I get to see a bunch of them that I usually only see there, and they always make sure and stop. I mean, I got like CJ. I won't say his whole name, but he's been wheelchair bound for pretty much his whole life, and
Oh,
he always makes sure that he gets to come down and spend some time with Jerry, and we sit and talk, and he always likes me to lift him up and pose for pictures with him, and CJ and I do face to face. What are they? The Skype stuff and the stuff on the phone through Facebook, and he's always calling. He's always wanting to talk, and we make time. I mean, great dude, great dude. Anybody I can help, we're there. Anybody.
I know. Yep, your network is your net worth, man. And I know you have a lot of people that love you, man. And I'm one of them, man. You've always been super kind to me, but I don't want to rush this, but I know I have to because I gotta keep this rolling. Next set of questions, man. Don't think too hard. Just minute and a half sort of answers on these next few questions, and then we'll round it out. And it's been beautiful getting to chat with you though so far. So the first few last of the questions that I'm going to round this out as is what's your favorite book?
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. You know what? It's my cookbook collection. All of them are great. I love them. The Perdone, I'm looking right now at the Paul Perdone. I love Cajun cooking, and he signed my copy. And then, of course, I'm a huge advocate of the Inn at Little Washington, and Patrick O'Connell's just dynasty over there in Little Washington is amazing. And so I'm going to say my cookbooks, man. I love them. I love cooking. I love food. I love treating my wife like a queen and feeding her like one. So there you go.
I think that's awesome, dude. You're the first person that I've ever had on this podcast that's ever told people about a cookbook. It's always these self-help books or these business books. And
I know.
I love it, man.
I got those too, but I tell
you, you did kitchen, great.
It's you. It's you and creativity and yeah, it's crazy, but sorry.
No, you're good. I love it. Yeah, I'm really curious. In your opinion, what do you think is the one reason why people? I mean, I know this could be a long answer, but why do you think a lot of people have the knowledge of what it takes to get into a shape, but they don't really do it? Why is that?
Well, I don't think they want the commitment because people ask me what it takes, and I'll just say one word: consistency. And people don't want to commit to what it takes to get that consistency. And it's not just in one thing. I mean, your menu is 90% of what you accomplish in the gym. I mean, that gym is fun. That's the fun stuff. Going there lifting, sweating, and grunting and groaning. That's 10% at max of where you're going to go with your fitness. The rest of it's going to be in your kitchen. There's all those memes, and it says you can't outwork a bad menu. Yep. There's so much truth to that. But I think that's what it is. I think it's commitment. People still like to eat really crappy and have processed foods and I teach moderation for everything. You want to have a beer? Great. Have a beer. I'm fine with that. You want to go eat pizza? Great. No problem. It's when kind of like with alcohol, right? When one drink turns into 10, you might have an issue. It's the same way with pizzas,
Yeah.
Because you skip one day at the gym, next thing you know, you've skipped 2 weeks. And therefore, it's the same mentality, that everything like that is, I think, kind of all inclusive, into our brains. It's like we start taking those shortcuts, and before we know it, we're not even riding the bike no more. So anyway, yep.
Perfect. All right. So I'm curious, what's a day in your life kind of look like from morning to night? What's a day that you'd like to hit every single day?
I can tell you what every day is. I'm up at 4:30. I come down. I let my gorgeous little puppy out. My Samson. He's my little buddy, and I sit down for about 20 minutes, and I get up and I make a hot breakfast for my wife, who still has to go to work every day because she works out in the morning, and I want, when she's up from her workout, to have a hot breakfast. So I do her menus for her. So I make her a nice hot breakfast, and I try to eat alongside her. And then when she's getting ready, then that's the start of my day. Then I get on the computer and I get my orders off my website, and I do all that and start packaging, and then go to work out in the mornings, and sometimes 2 a days, depending upon the day or what I have to do, and take phone calls and do consults and talk to Logan. So it's all good. Yeah, it's a great. I'm in bed by 9:30 every night. Yep.
So are you eating 7 times a day, or do you just kind of like eat when you're hungry?
No, I eat at a minimum every 3 hours. So I eat about 5 times a day. Yeah. I try to eat 5 times a day. And when I'm around home, which is most of the time when I'm eating. I'll go in and I'll hop on the bike for about 10 minutes after I'm done eating, just to help get all the blood going, get the digestive pieces going, get all that right. And you don't got to do a ton of cardio. You don't got to eat like a rabbit. I mean, you just got to do it smart. So I put all my macros together and make sure I get them every day. And they change as well, depending upon if I'm getting ready for a show or just doing an expo or trying to put on weight for 2020's nationals, excuse me. So
I love it. Cool. So I'm really scared about people listening to this podcast and it just being like a self-improvement sort of entertainment junkie podcast, and they don't really do anything with it. And so, I know for a fact that it helped me by actually doing some work after listening to the podcast, by either taking notes or doing some sort of homework. So is there one piece of homework that you would like to assign to anyone that's listening to this right now?
Absolutely. Go for a walk. Just go for a walk. Take your wife by the hand or your husband by the hand, put the leash on the dog, 10, 15 minutes, a couple of times a day. It's a good start. And you start putting those together, and then you can add on something else. And you can put in a couple of nice meals that are void of any of the processed stuff. And you could start doing that. And just graduate yourself into trying to be a little bit more healthy, trying to, manage, I guess, your life. Because those walks not only are going to help your metabolism and everything else, but it's going to give you and your spouse a beautiful time to sit and talk and even reconnect. So as you said before many times, all these hormones they're all about our thoughts. They're all about everything else is all connected, and if you got a beautiful relationship with your spouse or your significant other, life is so much cooler, it really is. And, just 3 times a day, just go out and take a stroll.
I'm digging it, man. I'm really digging it. So, man, I know people can find more of you. I'm going to tag in your Instagram and also your Facebook link and how they can find more of Magnum Source as well.
Sure.
Please, if anyone's listening to this right now, please get in contact with Gerald because, I mean, as you can hear from the interview, the guy's got a huge, huge heart. So I just want to acknowledge you, Gerald, right now.
Thanks,
for
brother.
just having a huge heart, man, and really not, because I know for a fact to get in really good shape, it is a selfish act sometimes, and those people that are willing to just give people the time of day, like, I mean, I've listened to Tony Horton and stuff, and people love him not because of the shape that he gets people in. It's the people love him because he gives people the time of day, and you do that too. And I see you give people the time of day. So, much love, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks, brother. We'll talk to you soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course.
Ooh.
Don't head out yet.
Okay.
There'll be girls across the nation that'll eat this up. They don't know that it's your soul, but could you bottle it up? Get down to the heart of it. No, it's my heart. Your shit out of your luck. Don't make me tell you again. Woo! Love, love, love. Hey. Love, 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 love.
Oh, wow. You made it to the very end of the show. Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Scratch Your Own Itch with your host, Logan Tyler Nelson. To make it to the end, gosh, that doesn't happen very much nowadays. I mean, especially with the constant distraction. So, I appreciate all of the efforts that you just took out of your day to make it to the end. And if you hit that subscribe button and leave a review, you would have no idea what that would mean to me. So thank you so much for taking the time to hit that subscribe button. And if you leave a review, check it out. Just screenshot it, send it to me, and I'd love to host your review out on the show. But don't ever forget, like I say, You matter, and you're enough.
Love is the main reason for how all of this happened. Love for all my fans, love for all the shows. Got love for all my memories, no matter where I go. Even if I'm out to nothing, I know there's always something. It's not a fitness test, but it'll always